Welcome to Mortgage on My Mind, where we take the mystery out of mortgages and make dreams of home ownership a reality. I'm Natalie Salins, a top 1% mortgage broker with 20 years of experience, based right here in sunny Los Angeles. If you've ever wondered about pre-approvals, appraisals, or what loan product is right for you, don't worry, I've got Mortgage on My Mind, so you don't have to. Each week, I'll bring you expert advice, real-life stories, and insider tips to help you navigate California's competitive real estate market with confidence. Whether you're buying your first home, refinancing, or just curious about how it all works, this podcast is for you. So let's talk mortgages, demystify the process, and make your real estate goals a reality. Ready to get started? Let's dive in. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mortgage on My Mind with Natalie Salins. We have an incredible guest today, Lisa Vomero-Inouye.
In no way will you ever forget me.
In no way. Got it. Oh my God, I love it. She is a real estate advisor with LPT Realty and principal of Buy and Sell San Diego Homes, specialized in luxury residential properties. She has a background in civil engineering and land development, so she brings data-driven approaches to help clients buy and sell homes. Lisa is also a certified luxury home market specialist and ePro, applying technical insight to real estate and strategy transactions. Now, if you guys watch my show or listen to my show at all, I have never had somebody build a database presentation the way Lisa has. It's so exciting. We're going to go off but of course she said this is like a civil engineer. That's what she has studied and trained in. So here it is. There's like all this analytics. It's incredible. Lisa, why don't you start? Why don't you tell us about the background in civil engineering and land development and how that led you into real estate? And they are very relatable, obviously, but tell us a little bit about that.
All right. I'll try to keep all the responses brief. So I was in engineering for, 20 something years. I was primarily doing all civil site work, drainage, design, that type of work, flat work, mainly infrastructure, water, sewer, drainage. And after 27 years, I just felt like I wasn't making a difference in people's lives. And at the time, my husband was upgrading from a co-pilot. He worked for American Airlines into the captain. And I was like, I need something else to do and study, expand my mind. So I'm like, I'll just get my license for fun because I love going to look at houses. And when I realized I could help people and make more money and have more fun, I'm like, yes, this is me. Not for the faint of heart. I went from salary job with staff, a budget, marketing expenses, everything to 100% commission sales. Yes. Yes.
Correct. Exactly. Brave, we call it.
Yes.
And how do you think that the technical perspective and how do you think that it helps shape and serve your clients, how you serve them?
Well, I think it's the best of both worlds because when they're buying, especially if I have a lot of buyers, and my engineers, they are my favorite clients, really, the first time buyers, because you help them buy a house, you change their whole life. And they are the most apprehensive. You have to do a lot more work. But the satisfaction when you give them the keys, knowing that you have set them on a path for financial growth and security, it just warms my heart. And that's the joy of the job.
Yeah.
But how I help my clients is I have a lot of data I can provide. I can slice and dice data details however they like. I am also can be expressive and enthusiastic, which makes it a lot more fun because it's very stressful. There's a lot of emotions. There's money involved. People are very uncertain. So trust and communication is the key. And then supporting the advice that you give them with data, lots and lots of data, so they can make the best decision.
And so when that comes to serving a buyer, because you said you love first-time home buyers, what is it, just pulling lots of comps or discussing, what kind of data is it that you normally pull? I see obviously this presentation that you have just reading through the first real estate market, what's hot, NAR settlement, limited consumer data sharing. This is a presentation that you have built around buyers, yes?
This is more like general information when people ask me about what's going on in the market. Everyone for the NAR settlement, they thought that was going to be the cat's meow. Really, it was a nothing. But
Nothing.
it was a nothing. It got a
I
lot
know.
of hoopla, but it was really the other things that I like to share with them that they're not aware of is like some of these other items. Because some of the brokerages from that NAR settlement are now not cooperating with the MLS. They are not sharing their data. And a lot of people don't even know that. So if you're not working with a professional full-time real estate agent like myself, there may be properties that you won't even know that are for sale. If you don't like network with other professionals, if you're not on the MLS, a lot of times buyers were just looking at Zillow or homes.com, but they're not up to date and they don't have all the inventory. So the other thing I like to talk to them about is just a lot of questions in advance. I have an intake checklist, like where do you want to live? What's important to you? Tell me about your lifestyle. What's your commute distance? So you really get a big picture of their life. So you can really help them find the best solution in terms of housing, budget, price, and you want them to be happy and also to be able to afford their house. And affordability, of course, in San Diego County is like a huge issue.
What is a huge issue?
Affordability.
Affordability.
San
Yeah, of
Diego
course.
County, super huge issue. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you guys have good like condos when you meet somebody who's a first-time home buyer who doesn't necessarily have a huge down payment or make a lot of money? How do you normally get through that with them?
I'm sure you're aware in San Diego County, there are several programs for first-time buyers. And so there's some grant money available, but it runs out very fast. So you have to have people like
Yes.
ready to go and you have to check their income limits. The other thing is pretty much they're always going to be looking for a condo unless, their parents are helping them or they are coming in from money from somewhere else. Our entry level median first time house is like 1,035,000.
Yeah.
And that's not going to buy you much. That's like a 3-2 with barely a garage, like in certain zip codes. So that's the other thing I
Yeah.
ask my clients. Okay, how far away? The farther away you go from the ocean and downtown and the key financial areas, the more house you're going to be able to buy. And then it's an iterative process with my clients. So
Yeah.
I give you this choice and then I give you this choice. It's like a big flow chart. Then I can narrow down to them where they're going to probably find the sweet spot of their budget and the location in town with an acceptable commute distance to their work.
Sure.
All engineering. It's all engineering.
I love it. Very structured. Yes, that's what you have to be, especially with mortgages.
Yes.
So the hot topics of mortgage changes. Let's click on that screen.
Click on that
Yeah.
one. Maybe you can talk more to that. Nationwide affordability is a concern, but in California, New York, and Florida, it's a showstopper. We have a lot of issues. We have the locked-in effect here that they don't have anywhere else. So I'm sure you're aware of some of these ideas they were kicking around in Congress, like the 50-year mortgage and the portable mortgage. And Natalie, maybe you would like to address that. What do you think your thoughts on that would be?
Yeah. So we have 40-year mortgages now. They fell out of the market, of course, after like in 2009, but they are back. The problem with a 40-year mortgage is it's what we call a non-QM loan, which is a non-qualified mortgage. And because of that, only certain investors will do them, and the rates are higher. So Fannie and Freddie have not come out, which are, if anyone's listening doesn't know who they are, they're the government regulators basically for loans. They are our agencies and they set guidelines for standard conforming limits and stuff. They don't have a 40-year amort loan, which of course means you have 40 years to pay it off, which means that the payment is lower because you have a much longer term. So a 50-year means that you have 50 years to pay it off. It seems a little outrageous. A lot of people getting in won't even live that long, of course. But what ends up happening is the rate is so much higher that you're not really saving much money from the 10-year product that comes before it. So The 40-year and the 30-year right now, the rate on the 40 is much higher unless you're putting a massive amount down. And when you do the numbers side by side, you're not really saving that much money unless they're going to make rates competitive.
Yes.
I don't see how it's a win, really,
Yeah.
because the idea of having a mortgage for 50 years is daunting anyway. Nobody's going to keep it that long. And you end up paying like no principal on it for so many more years. You're paying a
That's right.
much larger amount of interest, right? So on a 50-year, you're paying mostly interest for the first 15 to 20. On a 30, you're paying mostly interest for the first 5 to 10.
Yes.
So you start paying off your principal so much faster if you can afford it. I don't know. I don't have a lot of hope on that. Again, unless they make Fannie and Freddie come out with guidelines on it and keep the rates competitive.
They would have to actually structure it so it would be a conforming loan product. Right now it isn't, but these are the ideas they're kicking around to try to make housing affordable.
Totally.
Yeah.
And as far as a portable mortgage, it's also called like an assumable loan or transferable mortgage. There are different, very rare, honestly, especially transferable. Assumable is a little bit more. There's like FHA and VA, and they sometimes allow for it. I just don't see how you're going to get investors to buy into that, right? Like the
I
whole,
agree. I agree, but these are the options. These are some
yeah,
hot
totally.
topics, like what can we do? I know the administration is looking, because right now with the Fed not lowering rates,
Correct.
a lot of the people are, everybody is just pretty much locked in. 80% of America is sitting on a mortgage rate of 4% or less. So they're not real excited about selling their house and getting a mortgage for 6 to 7%.
I know. It's funny too because we call it golden handcuffs. And I feel like a lot of my clients are like, we're never leaving. It's basically free. We're at 2.875, whatever.
Yep.
But for first time home buyers, I think it's a huge number, like 90% or something of first time home buyers want to buy their next home within 5 to 7 years.
Yes.
And we are just at the 5 year mark right now of
Yeah.
that, like 2021 when rates really came down. And I do feel like a lot of clients are itching now. Like they've got the itch to do something different. Like I'm doing a ton of buy before sell program. So people who want to buy something new before selling, because writing a contingent offer isn't going to really get your offer accepted.
Not a good strategy. Yes.
Not the best strategy. So I have a couple programs that are called buy before sell programs, which are amazing. They're not bridge loans, but I don't have to count the debt against you. There's a bunch of different ways to get this done. And I'm doing more of those, which means people are ready to leave there first and get into the second. And that's standard, right? Again, like it's 5 to 7 years, a huge percentage. It gets the itch to move on to their next home. And that's starting right now. We're at the 5 year mark. So I'm
And I
hoping,
love that because, and I'll tell you why, because
yeah,
I can just already tell that you and I think alike. We're looking for solutions for problems that are out of the box to
right,
get them in the best negotiating position, to get them lined up and strategically in the best negotiating position to help them with their budget and moving, and then not having to be the emotional stress. Is my house ever going to sell when I found my new next dream home? Exactly.
right,
Love that. I love that strategy. Yes.
totally. And not being afraid of it. Yes, the rates were low. Congrats, you got to pay a very low mortgage. You've built a nice amount of equity 5 to 7 years later. And now it's time to push your way out of this place that you're squeezing into, which is what I have found most of my clients say. Our family got bigger, or we chose something a little small for what our needs are now. And rates were definitely lower 3 weeks ago. It is unfortunate what's happening right now. I normally just liken it to being on a boat and just riding that wave. And the market here is strong regardless of what is happening with the economy.
In the world, yes. Our local economy is very strong.
And in places where the inventory is limited, values stay high. And that is a beautiful thing here for anyone who wants to get in the market because they don't have to be concerned with whether or not they're going to build equity, which is a huge part of why you invest in owning your home. So it just feels like people are recognizing that an interest rate of 6 or even mid sixes, which is where we like flew up into so quickly in the past 3 weeks or so, we're now like in the mid to low sixes.
Right.
People are okay with that. We've seen that rate. We've seen way higher than that rate.
Way higher. I did some research here also to see what the rate would be because a lot of people, my buyers are always asking me, should I wait? So I went and did all the research from all these different places, and they're all saying, yeah, you know what? 6 to 7 is like a normal, regular market before all the crazy stuff happened, before the
Totally.
meltdown, for COVID. So this is just a normal market. Another interesting fact, though, I think is people don't recognize is last year, the average age of a home buyer was 59 years old. That means
Wow.
they're right sizing, and the average age of a first time buyer was 40 years old. Now, what's also contributing to that is that they're coming out of college with 10-year debt on student loans, which is like part of a mortgage payment. So they're already being delayed into their 30s. And then if they started having a family, then they're waiting longer before they can actually save up and buy their very first home. So
Right.
I found that data fascinating, and that explains a lot of the different dynamics that are happening in our market today.
100%. I also think that it's a scary time for youth
Yes.
who are used to major social and AI. And I think it is this fear of what is actually going to be a profitable employment for them. Like, what is it that they're going to get into that is going to be relevant in just 2 or 3 years from now? I've heard that that's also something that kind of people have a bit of a fear around, like how they're going to manage that.
I think the fear is more for their parents. I think the other thing that really people don't realize is the younger generation, they lived through the mortgage meltdown in the 2008 and 2009 crash, and they don't want to own a house.
Totally.
They are more interested in experiences and traveling than owning anything or taking care of anything or being rooted anywhere. So that is a total shift in the whole American dream of home ownership. That
Yeah.
is, you're seeing that in these data points with the buyer ages. Yes.
Yeah. Totally. Totally. It's interesting. We'll see what happens.
Yes, we will.
This has been
I'm just going to skip ahead here to the summer,
okay.
only because I think this is really unique to my San Diego market is the locked-in effect. Like I said, it really only affects either the luxury market and majority of markets across the nation, but really in 3 states, New York, Florida, and California, where you have so much equity that nobody wants to pay capital gains to get out of their house and pay the government so much money. And the exemption is so low. They have never changed the exemption since they established these rules, and the housing prices have gone skyrocket, and they've never changed the tax laws. The other thing is, like I mentioned before, 80% of America is sitting on rates below 4%, and they are not cashing those in. And unless you're 55 or over and can qualify for a one-time exemption to move your tax base, your property taxes are going to be higher on your smaller house that's going to cost you more money because the price is about the same. The cash that you're going to get, you're going to have to give away 25% of it in capital gains. And so you're at that new smaller house, if you're downsizing, is actually going to cost you more money than your big house that you've been in for decades. So it's a very interesting time in the market. And right now
Yeah.
we have a lot more sellers than we have buyers. We have 631,000 sellers nationwide. Houses are not moving. And the other thing is distressed sales are only making up 2% of the market because sellers have equity and they don't have to move. And if they don't get their price, which we're seeing for the first time in history, we have had more properties last year be delisted and not sell, where sellers are deciding to stay and remodel than we've ever seen in the history of keeping the data. So a lot of interesting information right now in the real estate market. It's fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. It's also a really good time to buy if you can stay strong of heart because
Yeah,
those,
you always should. You're going to get the
yeah,
30% increase in gross pay because the government's not going to take it. If you're single, you're paying a lot of taxes. And if you own a home, you're going to get that deduction pretty much right off the top as long as your mortgage amount is $1 million or less.
Yeah,
And
totally.
a lot of buyers don't realize that. It's either you're giving the money away to the government or you're putting it in a house and building your equity, which would be better for you.
Exactly. Which you
Yes.
totally.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's
And so I'm
something
always
over.
telling my buyers that they're worried, and a lot of them with the war going on and they're fearful about their jobs and the rates and everything. I'm like, you marry the house, but you're dating the rate. If the rate
Right.
goes down, you can always refinance. Take the savings of buying. And in San Diego, your equity is pretty safe. We have got strong and diversified employment. We've got higher paying jobs. We've got beautiful weather. We've got property that's easy to rent if you decide you need to transfer or you don't want to live here anymore. And we see the market pretty much is very flat. There's not a lot of inventory. And the other thing that's very interesting is by price point and zip code, the market is very stratified. So that's also very
Yeah.
interesting. Yes.
Yeah. It is. I hate to think of this lock-in effect, but I know in certain areas it's definitely alive.
Oh, it's real in San Diego.
Yeah.
It's definitely
Yeah.
real. Yeah. Yeah, the other thing that for people that own houses that have equity, the other thing I also ask them for legacy planning for your children. If you own investment property that's not really suiting you now, or you want to do something with that cash, they could talk to you, Natalie, do a cash out refi, get some money, put a down payment on like a small condo. So when their kids go to college, you know what I mean? They'll have a rental and they'll be able to have their kids close. Because what we're also seeing is the kids, when they get out of college, they transfer for jobs because they can't afford houses here. And then they move away, fall in love, get married, and then the grandkids are not here.
Totally. Yeah.
So
We're
it's
doing,
also like legacy planning.
yeah, we're doing so many HELOCs right now. So
Yeah.
many. I didn't used to
Yeah.
at all. I've got 2 to 3 a month that I'm doing because people are pulling cash out of their homes, either to build larger because they don't want to move and don't want to go to a new place, but they need more space, or to have extra cash to buy something else.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and remodel, we are seeing a lot of people just deciding to like remodel and stay where they are. And a lot of them are looking, if they've been in their house more than 10 years with an older demographic, they're also looking to make sure they could age in place.
Right.
A lot of interesting things. And I've been doing this 20 something years, 25 years. This is my 25th year.
Oh, wow. Oh my goodness.
Interesting market. Interesting.
It is. But I feel like it's always pretty interesting. Not this volatile, of course, but it's always interesting. It's always different and fun. Every day I learn something new.
It's
Yep.
always different. That's what makes it fun.
I know, totally. It's exciting.
And I love solving problems. So the more challenging and problems that are available, the more fun it is. Yes.
It's true. It's true, for sure.
Keeps our brains young.
Uh-huh. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here today and sharing
Thank
and
you, Natalie.
being so prepared. I love it. So great.
I want to set the bar very high.
That's right. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Can't expect much different from an engineer. So I'm really happy you brought it.
Thank you. Would you like me to email it to you?
What's that?
I said, do you want me to email it to you? I'd be happy to do
Sure. I love it.
it.
Absolutely.
Very good. I'll do it.
That was fantastic.
Thank you. I so appreciate the opportunity and the information you provided as well and what's happening on your side of the transaction. Very valuable information, and I'm very
Absolutely.
grateful. Thank you.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. Certainly.
All right, Natalie.
Thanks for listening to Mortgage on My Mind. If you're ready to start your mortgage journey or have any questions, I'd love to help. With 20 years of experience, I make the process as simple and stress-free as possible. Check the show notes for my contact info, and don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast. Until next time, I'm Natalie Salins, here to help make your real estate dreams a reality.